A loyal customer of Javelin and a part of the Trimec Group, Bowhead Corp are redefining what is possible on an adaptive bike. Bowhead designers are passionate about taking you places that you've never been, or back to the places you yearn to reach again. A focus on amazing has propelled Bowhead from a business into an adaptive mobility movement. And to fuel this movement, founder and CTO Christian Bagg and his team use every tool at their disposal, and SolidWorks has been Bowhead's go-to solution from day one. As the company's grown, SolidWorks has scaled with them, playing a vital role in every aspect of Bowhead, from design and production to customer service and operations. Using this incredible dataset, we're going to explore the new CAD features and 3D modelling tools available with SolidWorks 2024. So, if you want to improve your team's productivity by working smarter and faster with the latest SolidWorks CAD enhancements, then watch the new capabilities covering everything from assemblies and parts to routing, structures, and even drawings. SolidWorks 2024 has arrived.
Hi everybody, welcome to What's New in SolidWorks 2024. I'm Jamie, and along with my colleagues here within the Trimec Group, it's our pleasure to introduce to you some of the improvements that you can look forward to in this, the 32nd release of SolidWorks. Each year, SolidWorks brings groundbreaking new functionality and also offers plenty of enhancements to help you become more productive and truly unleash your creativity and potential, allowing you to work smarter, faster, and more cohesively as a team. This year, the team at SolidWorks have been working hard to deliver shorter workflows, improve performance, and even some nice interface delighters. We have a packed agenda here for you today, presented by our technical team in both North America and here in the UK. And don't worry, there will be a comfort break at halftime to recharge. So sit back and take in everything that's new in SolidWorks 2024. But before we get into it, big news for this release. Now, every seat of SolidWorks comes with cloud data management included. So let's hand over to Graham to find out more.
Design teams have different needs. Many want to communicate more efficiently with their partners. Some need better ways of securely storing and revising their data, and yet others are looking to provide structure to their team's processes. So how do you solve these needs without your creativity taking a backseat to everyday file management tasks? With cloud services, there are convenient tools like Share a File that allow you to remove the friction associated with sharing your designs, both internally and externally. Simply indicate whether you'd like input on the design, who you'd like to share your design with, and the feedback you're looking for. No file attachments or viewers to download, just a notification with a link allowing controlled access to your content directly from a browser on any device. Dimensions can be taken, sketches can be made on the model to communicate design ideas, and markups added from multiple views to convey manufacturing suggestions. When finished, comments capture the markup and can be used to request additional information. The best part is that you never have to leave SolidWorks. You can access any comments and markups right from the task pane. They not only contain the annotations that were added, but remember the orientation of the model as well, making it easy for you to understand the feedback. When it's time to make design changes, Cloud Services has built-in revision management that's as easy as saving the model and drawing. Simply add a note indicating what's changing, and your new revision is securely saved to the cloud. On the drawing, the revision table automatically updates for you with your change comments. Plus, you can track the progress of your designs by simply updating their status. No need for moving files to new folders, zipping datasets up, or coming up with creative file names. Just convenient tools designed to make your life easier and keep you focused on your designs. With the new revision available, you can choose to share the drawing as a PDF with your supplier, or update the existing share with the new design. Either way, you're in complete control of the access. The 3D Experience platform is your online product development hub. Powerful search capabilities allow you to find and assemble your designs with ease, fully supporting your favourite features such as mate references. When it comes to collaborating with your team, each member can lock the portion of the design they're working on, ensuring your design changes aren't accidentally overwritten. And because your designs are securely stored on the cloud, you can access them from anywhere. Preview your designs right in the browser while taking advantage of powerful capabilities like comparing your design revisions. Explore the structure of your design with built-in search, allowing you to easily navigate to the component of interest. Focus on the part and access all the associated custom properties without ever having to open SOLIDWORKS. When you're ready to bring more structure to your engineering processes, Cloud Services has you covered. Use the convenient tags to filter your designs by status and formalize your release process by dragging your designs into a route. Routes can have linear or parallel approval tasks assigned to members of your team. Once the tasks are completed, you'll have full access to the sign-off history and the route will automatically update the status of the attached designs. Not only can you manage your approval process, you can also track and resolve design issues as well. Unlike traditional lists, these items can be visualized right on the design. Location tags provide feedback on what the challenge is and who identified it. Detailed descriptions and recommended actions are outlined and can be updated with the action that was taken and the resolution. The CAD items are referenced, and to ensure no one is duplicating work, the issues can be assigned to specific members of your team, and comments allow for social feedback that remains connected to the task at hand, not lost in an email. When completed, you can update the issue with a simple drag and drop and export a pre-formatted presentation to update your team in your next design review. And that's just the start. Cloud Services opens the door to next-generation design tools, powerful simulation, and intelligent manufacturing that can accelerate your throughput. Keep your focus on design with Cloud Services, part of the 3D Experience Work governance portfolio, and available with new and upgraded SOLIDWORKS licenses.
Of course, cloud data management is only the tip of the iceberg as to what's possible with the 3D Experience platform. So to find out more about your new cloud-based tools or to discover what more can be done, please get in touch with your local technical team for more information. Let's now get right back into SOLIDWORKS with Jorge and take a look at some enhancements to the user experience.
Thank you, Tracy. So, let's view some new options settings in SOLIDWORKS 2024 that will accelerate and enhance your user experience. First, if you are displaying your components in wireframe view or presenting your components' colors in HLR/HLV mode, you can now use your GPU hardware to improve the display of silhouette edges. To enable this option, we can open our options menu and on the System Options tab, we can select Performance. Finally, at the bottom of the page, we can activate the Hardware Accelerated Silhouette Edges. This option will help you accelerate the displaying performance of your models. Another great feature added to SOLIDWORKS 2024 is that now you can select which coordinate system to use as your origin when saving an assembly or a part as a step file. To do this, we will open the Save As dialog box and select the step file type. You can notice that a new drop-down menu has appeared where we can select which coordinate system to use as the origin for this new saved part.
That's a huge performance increase for 2024, and being able to save as with a different coordinate system will really help when collaborating with other CAD systems. Now let's hand over to Jamie to see what's new in parts and features.
This year, a particularly useful enhancement allows us to save SOLIDWORKS files in a native format from a previous release of SOLIDWORKS up to 2 years. Simply select Save As and browse the Type pull-down menu. In here we can select to save the part in either 2022 or 23 format. It's important to point out that if we were to save this part in a 2022 format, then this wouldn't work with any 23 or 24 new features used in the creation of our designs. That said, it still is an incredibly useful option when dealing with other SOLIDWORKS users who may be a year or two behind in releases. When using the Cut Revolve feature, you can take advantage of a new option. We can now flip the side to cut, just like we can when using the Cut Extrude tool. This allows more flexibility when using sketched features by retaining the inner portion of a sketch and discarding the region outside of the sketch. New in 2024, we're now able to create cylindrical bounding boxes alongside rectangular ones. These are super useful with bodies including cylindrical geometry, such as rotational, circular, or turned parts. Using this helpful new enhancement, we're able to take our new design and calculate the bar stock that would be required for manufacture. There are lots of different ways that we can apply our dimensions to our sketches to ultimately control them, but normally you have to at least first initiate the Smart Dimension command. Well, in 2024, we can now toggle a system option to allow us to preview the dimension whenever you select an entity. From here, you can simply use the manipulators for Instant 2D, or just simply double-click the value to change it. This year, a really nice enhancement has been made to the Hole Wizard. When we go into the Hole Wizard and explore the Positions tab, we are greeted with an option to use an existing 2D sketch that already resides in the part. These sketches can be used to position and automatically create the holes at all endpoints, vertices, and points. The sketch options specify the geometry used to automatically create the instances. The two options are Create Instances on Sketch Geometry, which is enabled by default. This will position holes at all endpoints, vertices, and points of the sketch geometry. The other option does exactly the same, but for construction geometry. You can also skip hole instances, making it super quick to eliminate unwanted copies. Helpfully, if we were to delete a Hole Wizard feature, we can choose to retain the original hole position sketch. At first, being able to make a multi-body part from an assembly might not be seen as that important. We already have the ability to utilise Save As Part, and even have assembly features that we can use. However, these have their limitations. For example, assembly features are relatively limited in the types of features you can actually use, and most are specifically for material removal. The other method of saving an assembly as a part works fine, but you don't have any control over what's imported or how. You also don't maintain a link to the original assembly, which means if that assembly changes, your part is out of date. In this demonstration, we want to create some fillet bead and actually apply a material to it to get a physical weight, but that is not a feature supported in an assembly. By using Make Multi-Body Part, the parts are inserted as bodies into an environment where you can remove or add material. Make Multi-Body Part gives the user control over what's imported and maintains a link to the parent assembly. Additionally, you can import the assembly axes, planes, and even coordinate systems, as well as the material of the bodies. In this particular example, by simply selecting the faces that we want to be welded together in our new part, the Weld Bead tool will create solid geometry to replicate the bead itself, and because it creates a solid body, we can see them in the cut list folder and can apply the correct material to them, allowing for an accurate weight for our assembly. In SOLIDWORKS 2022, a great new tool called the Stud Wizard was introduced. This time-saving tool quickly turns cylindrical bodies into fully customizable stud features. Not only does it add the appearance of thread, but it also applies the correct PMI or product manufacturing information to the feature too. A nice improvement has been made this year by allowing you to apply the feature to a shaft that has the same diameter as the thread itself. In early releases, the thread diameter had to be smaller than the shaft, which made the workflow a little bit more involved. Now for me, this is my favourite enhancement this year, in fact possibly for a couple of years. We can now create symmetric linear patterns just by ticking a box. No more selecting an additional direction, No more copying of dimensions or instance numbers, and no more ticking the pattern seed only toggle box. Here, we're using a component from the bowhead assembly to show how easy it is to take a seed and then pattern it in two directions at once, but with symmetry. We'll first select the feature or features that we want to be our seed, in this case the weight-reducing pockets that we've removed from the part. We'll then select the direction of the pattern, followed by the desired spacing and instance numbers. Finally, we'll select the new option to include symmetry. By selecting this option, SOLIDWORKS creates a symmetrical pattern, but simply using direction 1 parameters. When designing parts for moulding, it's often useful to have physical geometry to represent any shut-off surfaces. For example, here we want to capture the surfaces that would be required as a part of the tool design, as these triangular cutouts pass all the way through this part. Previously, this would have been pretty difficult, but new in 2024, we're able to do this easily with a new option within Untrim Surface. Firstly, we'll create a copy of the front surface of this part by setting the offset to 0 within the Copy Surface command. Nothing new so far. However, this year, a new option to exclude the parent surface has been added to the tool, meaning that we can now create just those shut-off surfaces that we require with ease.
Thanks, Jamie. It's fantastic that we can now save as a previous release of SOLIDWORKS, and that's really going to help us collaborate with other users, even if they're using an older version of the software. And the new sketch dimension preview is a real time saver. To save even more time when you're ready to bring your parts to life, consider using our 3D printing service. This service can assist in confirming that your designs function as intended before incurring costly expenses of producing the final parts. SOLIDWORKS has always been particularly strong with sheet metal and fabrication designs, and 2024 brings us even more functionality. To tell us more, let's hand it over to Ray.
There are some great new features in SOLIDWORKS Sheet Metal 2024. This cargo carrier attaches to the trailer hitch of a car or truck and can be used to haul the Bowhead RX around to nearby trailheads and rides. The entrance swings open and turns into a ramp so that the Bowhead can be rolled on and strapped down for transport. You can see that there is a diamond plate sheet metal liner with some indents for the wheels to sit in. Let's see how we use some of the new features of SOLIDWORKS Sheet Metal 2024 to help design this liner. Taking a look at the liner, we can see that it's incomplete and still needs one of the side plates to finish the design. We are in an assembly and all of the sheet metal parts are connected using the tab and slot feature. Let's use Copy with Mates to copy the long side to the other side of the liner. We'll repeat this first mate and use the front and right assembly planes to finish mating this part in place. When zooming in, we can see that there are tabs from the copied part, but no slots on the adjacent sheet metal parts. Now in 2024, we can right-click the copied part and select the new Propagate Slots option. We can choose which slots to propagate or simply choose all instances. Now when zooming in, we can see that the slots have been propagated to the adjacent parts. This is a huge time saver, since we can now reuse the tab and slot feature in assemblies. Now let's open the base plate and add the wheel indents. We can see that there is a fully dimensioned rectangle sketch already created. With it selected, we'll click the new Sketch Base Stamp tool. We can now add dimensions to build out the dimensions of the first stamp. First, we'll define the depth of 20 millimeters. Then we can make sure that the tooling can be easily removed, so we'll add a 5-degree outward draft. Next, we can control the die and punch radii of the tool. We'll set those at 20 and 10 millimeters respectively. Finally, we will turn on the punch side corner radius option and set that to 15 millimeters. The new stamp tool is super powerful, and any close contour sketch can be used to create stamps. In many situations, the stamp tool can be used instead of forming tools, which will save time and effort. There is another sketch in the tree, which is simply 2-dimensioned points on the base plate. Using a sketch-driven pattern, we can pinpoint the exact locations of the other 2 wheel indents and pattern the stamp. Going back to the cargo carrier, we can see that there are two taillights that are mounted on the outer frame. Let's see how the sheet metal mount was designed using new functionality in SOLIDWORKS 2024. This part is just an extruded, thin-walled cylinder. For this to be a flattenable sheet metal part, we would need to rip it first. Now, in 2024, the rip command can be used to rip thin-walled cylinders and cones. Simply choose the rip command and click the inner edge of the cylinder. Now, clicking a point will define where the rip feature will be. The rip dimensions can be defined by a linear distance, or we can dimension it by degree. We'll set this rip cut to 3 degrees and choose symmetrical so that we know it is centered on the point. We also have the option to offset the rip as well. Now, by using the insert bends command and choosing one of the inner edges of the rip feature, we can define this as a sheet metal part and see the flattened geometry. By expanding the utility of the rip command, it is now easier than ever to convert thin-walled cylindrical and conic geometry into sheet metal parts. Hiding the sheet metal enclosure will allow us to see the structure system in full, including the corner connectors. Here are some of the great changes that have happened to structure systems in SOLIDWORKS 2024. We'll create this structure system easily using these surfaces to gain our 2 rectangle elements. Deselecting the edges will remove the associated weldment from being created. Secondary members are a breeze and only require a selection of the primary and secondary members and any planes that we may also want to build members with. If we neglected to deselect previously, simply selecting the member profile once it's been created and hitting delete will remove that member from our structure system. When exiting the structure system, we'll begin to notice some of the changes that have happened to structure systems in SOLIDWORKS 2024. The property manager will change to corner management. We can now automatically apply corner grouping based off of a reference plane, like what we select here. In previous releases, we could group corners, but this was a manual process. It could be time-consuming working with a large weldment system. There are several new UI elements, and we have a new option as well, Open Corner. This addition allows for greater flexibility when creating your new weldment structure, and the possibility of adding additional unique end connectors, besides the other options that have previously been available. Another great enhancement for 2024 is the ability to allow units for properties. Taking any items in our cut list and selecting the properties will allow us to add those units to our custom property. This isn't just for bodies or members on our cut list, but will also be for file properties. A good example is the adjustment of the mass. Simply right-click and change the units in the property window. We can now finish this weldment by mirroring several of the bodies from our cut list. With SOLIDWORKS, it's easy to create complex weldments using more than just sketch lines, and Structure Systems has great tools to be able to do this quickly.
That stamp tool is a huge time saver, much faster than creating a form tool, and great to see the tab and slot command now more flexible than ever. Now, working with large assemblies gets easier every year, and this year is no different. To show you what's new in assemblies for 2024, let's hand over back to Graham.
SOLIDWORKS 2024 brings users more productivity when creating, organizing, and sharing assemblies. Let's take a look at the bowhead's front steering subassembly and check out some of the top enhancements. For users that leverage configurations, configuration descriptions are now shown alongside the configuration name in the Insert Part pull-down menu. This helps ensure proper configuration selection every time. SOLIDWORKS 2024 also adds a new option to fix, float, or fix the first when inserting a new component. This option is sticky and gives more flexibility to how you wish to work when placing components. After selecting the green check mark, the steering knuckle is located at the origin, but in a floating state, allowing you to move right into position and start mating. SOLIDWORKS offers many ways to create mates outside of the standard paperclip tool. Using Alt-Drag will automatically introduce a mate, or using Windows Control-Select will prompt the Quick Mate toolbar. With each release, SOLIDWORKS is constantly evolving mates. 2024 has overhauled how the width mates are solved, and for advanced constraints, the width and tab selection fields have been renamed. In 2024, no matter how you select your tab or width selections, your constrained width mate will always solve correctly. Predefined mate references offer another way to speed up assembly design, but sometimes can fall short of proper definition, and concentric mates are left free to rotate. Now, in SOLIDWORKS 2024, mate references have the option to be created only when a named reference exists, improving overall performance when placing. An option to lock rotation has also been added for concentric mates. When adding a component with a named mate reference option selected, and where multiple paired named references exist, a drop-down list is presented with all possible options, making for precise mate reference placement. With a total of 10 articulation fasteners added, it's time to clean up the assembly tree. Users have long had the option to add in component references, but this process can be repetitive. New in SOLIDWORKS 2024, component references can be accessed from the top level of the assembly, where information can be added, removed, or modified through a single table. Any duplicate inputs are flagged, and these component references can be leveraged in drawings, such as in a bill of materials or text callouts. It's common practice to share files, and even more common to want to restrict intellectual property on the shared files. SOLIDWORKS 2024 now offers an even more streamlined approach to defeaturing models through a rules-based approach. Accessing a list of user-created rules, this particular rule looks at a custom property saved to the file and simplifies each part of the model accordingly through a silhouette defeature process. After less than a minute, the model is automatically defeatured and can be saved as a new configuration or as a new part altogether. Not everyone is working on the latest build of SOLIDWORKS. Workflows such as saving out as a neutral file type, such as STEP or Parasolid, are common for backwards compatibility. That is no longer the case in SOLIDWORKS 2024. Assemblies, parts and drawings can now be saved back 2 releases. With previous release save, mates are retained along with configuration information, metadata, exploded views and much more. SOLIDWORKS 2024 also incorporates XR or Extended Reality translators for saving CAD data to industry standard GLTF or GLB file formats. These formats can be consumed by many industry standard softwares to assist in composing AR, VR or XR experiences. Importing STEP files is a common translation between CAD systems, but for large STEP files this can be a time-consuming process. SOLIDWORKS 2024 offers a new STEP file filter. This allows you to preview a STEP file and all of its components, then make selections of which files you wish to import and run the import, giving up to a 30% improvement on import time on translating large STEP datasets. And finally, automatic mate repair has been expanded to include component patterns. Opening this rear wheel, we can see the spokes are now missing the edge that was initially used to drive the pattern. This can easily be cleaned up through the in-context toolbar and selecting the repair option. The process looks for a similar entity to reattach to the feature, allowing for a fast and efficient way to clean this up. A quick rebuild, and we're all done. Whether it's day-to-day assembly operations, defeaturing files, or collaborating with older releases of SOLIDWORKS or non-SOLIDWORKS data, 2024 is sure to bring more efficiency to your assembly process.
Some fantastic new assembly workflows available in 2024. These will really speed up large assembly design, documentation, and collaboration. If you find that despite all the hints, tips, and optimizations, your performance still falls slightly below your expectations, it may be worthwhile to engage with our hardware team. They can explore how we can assist you and discuss the special offers we have available with our partnership with Dell. Communicating your designs properly to clients and manufacturers is an important part of the design process. So to show us what's new for drawings and documentation in SOLIDWORKS 2024, let's hand it over to Dave.
Let's see what's new for drawings. We'll begin by opening up the drawing for this mounting plate. Let's add some dimensions to this front view. Chain dimensions are useful for creating a stack of dimensions relative to each preceding feature. These dimensions now come in aligned collinear, reducing otherwise manual cleanup steps. In tight spots, where there may be overlap, a new system option automatically offsets dimension text. On a busy 2D drawing, it can be difficult to tell what entities a dimension attaches to. Now simply hovering over a reference dimension will highlight its attaching entities, whether they be model edges, construction geometry, or vertices. This improves drawing clarity and helps you carry forward your design intent from the model to the drawing. Sometimes you may need to manually override a dimension. That's easy to do right from the Property Manager. Any overridden dimensions can now be highlighted with a user-specified color. This behavior is controlled by Document Property. I'll use the document search to find it, and here it is all the way at the bottom of this screen. As you'd expect, the choice of highlight color is set as a system option. Restoring one or more overridden values is easily done through the right mouse menu. Collaborating with other SOLIDWORKS users who may be on previous software versions can be a challenge. It's now possible to save your drawings, parts, and assemblies back to prior releases. When you save the drawing, it will also collect any reference documents. Append a suffix or prefix, or use the advanced options for additional control over the file names and locations. I'll bring up my recent files list using the letter R shortcut and open up this subassembly drawing. I'll create a new note attached to this isometric view. For 2024, the link to the Property Manager dialog stays open so you can create text strings composed of multiple property links. This is a huge time saver for creating compound notes. And as you'd expect, when I switch the model configuration for this drawing view, the custom property information updates seamlessly. However, changing the model configuration on these views causes a few of my reference dimensions to go dangling. Now you can simply right-click on any dangling drawing dimension and choose to reattach. The red X indicates an entity is missing, so now we just pick a new reference. Now my drawing is complete with a minimal amount of rework. The latest release of SOLIDWORKS offers a number of enhancements to DimExpert and MBD. This part already has a DimExpert dimension scheme, but depending on model orientation, the attachment points of various DimExpert annotations could appear buried within the part. A new option in System Options Display enables DimExpert dimensions to display on top of the model. Now you can see the DimExpert annotations stay on top of the model regardless of the orientation. That looks a lot better and should eliminate any ambiguity. Hole tables on 2D drawings are a popular way of reducing drawing clutter for multiple hole sizes and locations. I'll pick the front face to attach the hole table. Now I'll pick the X and Y axes, then these two faces to extract the holes. I'll choose to uncheck non-circular holes and slots, and then hit OK. Cross-highlighting from the table to the 3D part is also supported. When it comes time to save out a 3D PDF, hole tables will show in the 3D view, but you can also add a dedicated table on the PDF template. Another benefit of MBD is the ability to create Step 242 output. This is a great format for sharing 3D data that has embedded PMI, which can be read downstream by software applications or used to program machines. New with this release, not only is the hole table included in the Step 242 output, but now you can also include any or all of the SOLIDWORKS custom properties for export. Improving the editing interface for geometric tolerance frames has been an ongoing project for the past few releases. Double-click to select a tolerance frame, and then click again to bring up a Properties dialog. This release now provides the ability to display dual dimensions in geometric tolerance frames. Let's go to this section detail view. I'll add a size dimension to this angled face. I'll identify this as a conical feature, and this will create a dimension for the total included angle. What's new here is that we can now choose to display the dimension as a half angle. This is a more common convention, especially for turn parts. This behavior also applies if you use a DimExpert auto dimension scheme. For the datums, I can click on the existing datums in the model. Then select the angle dimension and set it to half display. Also new for DimExpert is the ability to create a thickness dimension between two curved faces. It works pretty much like you'd expect. Switching over to this ISO view, I've added a split line to the top of this part. However, that causes this overall length dimension to lose its face reference. In the past, this would require deleting and recreating the dimension. Now, DimExpert dimensions can be reattached to a new reference entity, as long as it's of the same type. One last bit of cleanup, and this part is looking good.
Much easier now to reattach those dangling relations. If you frequently find yourself repeating the creation of models and documents, it may be beneficial to explore the use of DriveWorks as a design automation tool. This tool has the potential to streamline your processes and significantly accelerate your workflow. We've seen some amazing new tools for design and documentation so far, and the good news is that there's still plenty more to come in the second half, including SOLIDWORKS Visualize, PDM, simulation, electrical, and some incredible new applications now available on the 3D Experience platform. We're going to have a quick comfort break now, but we'll see you back here in 5 minutes, starting with a look at what's new in Visualize 2024.
Welcome back to the second half. We hope you've enjoyed the show so far, and we still have lots more to show you. So to start us off, let's hand over to Rich to showcase the new features and functionality in SOLIDWORKS Visualize 2024.
Since its introduction in 2017, SOLIDWORKS Visualize has become a go-to solution for SOLIDWORKS engineers' rendering needs, creating photorealistic, engaging content directly from your CAD models. In this short video, cover enhancements from the 2024 release, applicable for all versions of Visualize, or using Visualize Standard, Visualize Professional, or Visualize Connected. The biggest change for all users is the complete overhaul of the appearances, as the appearance format has been exchanged with Dassault Systèmes' Physically Based Rendering, or PBR, methodology. This approach is fast becoming industry standard within visualization and CGI, allowing consistent and seamless integration in both upstream and downstream visualization workflows. These appearances are created in a full DS-PBR model, allowing full controls to create complex and nuanced appearances. But that doesn't mean that DS-PBR format is hard to use. Single texture maps can be simply dragged from Windows Explorer onto the appearance and pointed to a map slot. If multiple maps are selected, a format will reference common naming conventions and auto-load all maps to the correct slots. Instance appearance application. Full control over textures and mapping is of course still present, with the addition of some delighters, such as simplification of the tint tool and basic image manipulation tools allow for fine-tuning of the textures on the fly. Along with the appearance format change comes a whole brand new appearance library. This library comprises over 48% more appearances than the previous library, with more periodically to be added to the cloud library. If you created any existing custom appearance in Visualize, these will be automatically updated to the new file format as soon as they're used within Visualize 2024. Setting up your scene can be a time-consuming process. Visualize 2024 dramatically reduces this with a revised manipulator. Graphically, the manipulator has been given a new clean design, featuring dynamic highlighting to ensure you select the correct translation, rotating, or scaling command. For power users, keyboard shortcuts have been added. G, R, and E have been added, using grab, translate, R for rotate, and E, elongation, with scale command. This can be taken further with additional keyboard shortcuts for the X, Y, and Z axis, represented by the respective letters. For example, we can translate this component in the Z axis by first selecting the G key, followed by the Z key for the direction. This is then accessing the component's local coordinate system. However, at times you wish to select the world coordinate system. I will do this by simply double pressing the axis that you want to select. Complex scene setup should be even easier to create with the improved Move manipulator, with keyboard shortcuts adding quicker and more precision to users. The Output Tools menu has been replaced with the Render Wizard, an easy step-by-step interface with customizable output profiles. This includes all the same settings previously included, all within the logically separated tabs. However, there's a few additional features that have been added. Now we have full control which configurations, model sets, and even cameras we wish to render out all within a single setup. Export options have been added for interactive images. The option to export animations, opening up all kinds of creative outputs for interactive feedback. These can be created from partial or whole existing animations. Interactive outputs can be previewed from the output viewer, as well as the option to directly upload them to the 3D Experience platform. Sun studies have been a go-to method for creating realistic lighting conditions for a specific time, specific date, specific location in the world. This has been enhanced with the ability to choose a rotational vector by choosing either a component or rotating the visible compass. Any of these defaults can be saved as profiles, ready for reuse for the next project. Creating basic animations become even easier. Introduction of the Animation Wizard. From here we can generate automatic rotation, turntable animations, or even animate our sunlight environments, create spectacular sunrises or sunsets. This concludes the enhancements in Visualize 2024, bringing a host of tangible benefits, reduce the time taken to produce engaging content for sales, marketing, websites, and social media campaigns. Upgrade your Visualize 2024 today and bring your models to life.
Wow, Richard, Visualize looks incredible this year. The UI just got even easier to use, plus a lot more adjustments available for the more experienced user to create truly stunning visuals and animations. Keep in mind that if you're looking to expedite your journey towards becoming a rendering expert, we provide training courses for Visualize as well as all of our products. Your design work is an incredibly valuable asset, so it needs protecting. With that in mind, let's hand you over to Terry to take you through what's new in SOLIDWORKS PDM 2024.
Workflows have always been a great way to see where your design is in its development process. This assembly is pending approval, but needs to be transitioned back for additional features. Now in PDM 2024, when you transition a workflow, you have the ability to check out the design as you make the transition, making you more efficient. Seeing a static list of parts and their properties can be insightful. However, with PDM 2024, we help you visualize those properties like never before. Assembly visualization now supports PDM properties. System properties as well as user PDM variables are now available. Group and color by property, and then use the rollback bar to isolate parts based on their state. In addition, you can save the color mapping as a display state and continue working on your design with added insight. Let's use the feature search to add the required design changes to this model. We'll finalize the design by checking them in and then release the design as Rev B. PDM has always been about tracking the history of your designs. Now history records when the design has been checked out, providing a greater level of traceability. When accessing an old revision, you can now gain a clearer understanding of its status on the newly redesigned version tab. The top half of the tab provides insight into the status of the latest version available, while the bottom half provides you with information related to the current local version, giving you a clearer picture of the status. For users of name bombs, hidden columns now show in the BOM Compare as deleted. You can quickly unhide all hidden columns on the right mouse button menu, and it's easier than ever to edit multiple cells at one time. Overall security has been enhanced to ensure that reference data is blocked for those without permission on the Contains and Where Used tabs, and supports the table view as well as the treehouse view. Web 2 now supports the grid view, making it easier to visually identify your designs in the folder and search views. Clearly understanding the makeup of a multi-body part is now easier than ever, with new icon indicators that exist not only in Web 2 but throughout PDM 2024. The right mouse button menu allows you to seamlessly transition to any tab of a file, saving you time. And if you need to access an old version, Web 2 now allows you to select the version you want to download. For administrators, it's now easy to see the vaults that you're logged into. The license node has been split into license usage and server list, and a new administrative permission has been added for more granular access control. With the introduction of assembly visualization support for PDM 2024, you can create variable display lists your users can access and easily control their permission. Finally, organizing your workflow has never been easier. States that are no longer utilized can now be archived, and you can toggle the pane on and off on the toolbar. If you need to unarchive a state, simply drag and drop it. With SOLIDWORKS Manage, you can create and edit bills of materials using a record-based approach, making you less reliant on the existence of SOLIDWORKS data. You can create a bill of material at any stage of product development and capture a manufacturing BOM, which is often derived from the CAD BOM but is different in some way. In 2024, you can globally replace an obsolete component with an alternate part and update all its parent bill of material in one operation. In 2023, the bills of material are updated one at a time, so this great new enhancement is going to save significant amounts of engineering time. In 2024, the SOLIDWORKS Managed desktop and web client includes a full eDrawing preview, making it much easier and faster to view component geometry whether you're working with bills of material or participating in an engineering change process. With SOLIDWORKS Managed 2024, these enhancements and many more will improve ease of use, increase productivity, and promote better collaboration across your organisation.
Some great enhancements to the user interface this year. Lots of additional functionality for BOMs, transitions, and now support for assembly visualization. And that added checked out by information in the file history gives us an important new layer of traceability. Simulation is an important part of the product development process for many companies. So to take us through this year's enhancements to SOLIDWORKS Simulation and Plastics, let's hand over to Alex.
SOLIDWORKS Simulation 2024 adds additional functionality to virtual connectors and options to speed up your simulation setup. We'll start by looking at the new simulation options that will help every user. In the general simulation options, you can now turn on new selections to automatically save the file after meshing and automatically save the analysis after the analysis completes. This is now in line with the behaviour of SOLIDWORKS Flow Simulation. These options will prevent data loss in the case of unexpected shutdowns or power cuts. Also, under the Solvers and Results is a new option to pick and choose what is copied, either include or exclude the mesh and results. This will save time and disk space. Now, back to the model. This chain assembly is responsible for transferring power from the rider's arms to the assistive power unit and rear wheel of the Bowhead RX. You can see there are two chains running through the tensioner. Next to the chain is the chain roller guide. The roller guide is responsible for keeping both chains on the transfer cogs, ensuring that the chain doesn't slip off under power. In this simulation, we're going to check the displacement around the roller guide and check the bearings and bolts are fit for purpose. The chain roller guide is mounted to the tensioner mount and houses two sealed bearings that are mounted to the roller guide axle. We can now exclude the physical geometry for the roller bearings from the analysis, since we're replacing these with bearing connectors. One of the bearing connectors has already been created for us, so we'll now create the other connector. We will choose the outer face of the shaft and the inner face of the housing to define the location. We can now choose the new option for distributed coupling. Distributed coupling allows for the faces of the attached bearing to deform, which delivers more realistic representation of the bearing's behaviour. We will now add the lateral and axial stiffness of the bearing to define the new tilt stiffness. In 2024 is the ability to define torsional stiffness as well. In this final dialog box, we can also specify exactly how much the shaft is going to be stabilised. Now we'll add the chain loads to the roller guide. Split lines we use to locate loading at specific locations and directions. First, we'll use a load of 250 newtons to the hand crank chain and 150 to the pedal assist chain. Next, we will quickly run this study. It takes under a minute to mesh and complete. So, let's take a look at some results. You can see from this stress plot that the majority of the higher stresses take place on the bolted shaft, but everything appears below yield and within tolerance. When animating the results, we can see that the chain roller guide is moving as we would expect, and the deflection suggests that even under load, it's relatively mild, so the chain roller is doing its job. These new enhancements to SOLIDWORKS Simulation in 2024 add even more flexibility to how you work and even more power to commonly used virtual connectors. Copying studies is now faster than ever before, saving time by removing unnecessary data transfer. And adding even more detail to bearing connectors saves runtime and helps you get even more accurate results than ever and greater insights into your design. In 2024, SOLIDWORKS Plastics uses automation to speed up your analysis. We also have further injection location optimization options. This plastic part supports the rider's calves when powering the Bowhead RX. It's a thin plastic part and it may be beneficial to have multiple gate locations to reduce cycle time and ensure proper mold cavity filling. Now in SOLIDWORKS Plastics 2024, the Injection Location Advisor can automatically suggest multiple gates and their optimal locations. Users can also define the number of gates to use, and the advisor will then place those gates in optimal locations as well. On screen we can see a preview before we run the study of how this may look. Now, let's say you have another part like this cable cover, and you want to test multiple scenarios with different materials and different study types. The new Batch Manager makes it easier than ever to queue up a bunch of studies and run them all with one click. In the Batch Manager, you can now also choose what study type you want to run. First, we select the right study setup. Then, using the new Simulation Type pull-down menu, we select the relevant option. You can choose any combination of fill, pack, warp, or even cool studies. You can even designate the maximum number of CPUs for each study. This allows you to crack on with other tasks and not have your whole CPU used up by a plastic simulation. You could even start a second session of SOLIDWORKS and do some modelling while the studies are running. When you're done setting up the Batch Manager, simply hit Run, or you can even choose a start time. In SOLIDWORKS Plastics 2024, we continue to use more automation tools and logic to help you get deeper insight into the injection molding process of your plastic parts.
Automatically saving the file after meshing and after the analysis completes gives us an added safety should things go wrong, a potentially huge time saver. And the new connector options add an extra level of realism to your analysis. If you're uncertain about having the necessary skills and time to meet your simulation requirements, consider utilizing our consultative service. This service can be a valuable resource for one-off assistance or for reducing both the workload and costs associated with your project. Products are getting smarter all the time, as even more of our designs incorporate electrical systems and new technology. We have plenty of enhancements to the SOLIDWORKS electrical design tools for 2024, so to take you through what's new this year, let's hand it over to Adam.
Let's talk about what's new in SOLIDWORKS Electrical 2024. We have new additions to 2D schematics and SOLIDWORKS 3D as well. Starting with schematics, the update to 2D cabinets was now made so we can use auto ballooning. When you use the auto balloons, they match up to the row numbers the footprints are linked to in a report. With this feature, we can choose leader styles, we can choose the different block shapes, as well as the block sizes. With the layouts, we can have our balloons organized along the top, the bottom, left-hand side, right-hand side, or in the square format. We also have the option to group balloons, ignore multiple instances, or choose to ignore terminals. So if I want to have one representation of the same instance or multiple instance, I can have that toggled on, and I can choose to include or exclude my terminals from my report. This auto balloon layer will also exist on this layer, or we can put it on a different layer. And then we have the option to insert the report table as well. So I'm going to go ahead and insert this table at the bottom here. When looking at this table, we can see there's plenty of information here, including manufacturer part information. Now we can save some extra time because SOLIDWORKS has made it so we can delete manufacturer part information, and that will fully clear residual terminal numbers at the component level. So we'll save some time when we're clearing manufacturer part information. Another update SOLIDWORKS has included for us is representing component marks as a range in our reports. So what do I mean by this? Let's look at the table we just inserted. We have our manufacturer parts here, and we have our quantity and marks. When we have a quantity count of 3 or 1 or 2, it's easy to fit the marks for those components in this single cell. But when we have something like our WAGO 1201 terminal blocks with 17 of them in there, each individual mark for those 17 iterations is going to expand the cell or change the whole format of the table. The way we can represent this as a range is SOLIDWORKS has included an ellipse to represent a gap between the first and the last iteration of those terminal blocks. So this makes it easy to format, and it makes it easy to understand and follow all the different marks in this table. Let me open up a schematic and show some of the changes here as well. So we have a schematic here that represents our harness design. We have connectors, we have our wire harnesses or cables in between. And one update SOLIDWORKS has made is being able to move symbols using the arrow keys on the keyboard. So now I can move up, left, right, down, and I can adjust how my symbols are arranged in my schematic with only using my arrow keys. So that is a new function that SOLIDWORKS has made easier for us to access and easier for us to maintain and modify our drawing orientations or our schematic layouts from within our keyboard shortcuts. One thing to take note of as well is as I zoom in and as I zoom out, my grid does a much better job at auto sizing. So SOLIDWORKS has made improvements to that, especially making it easier for when we're working on larger displays. Having that scaling much quicker and much more intuitive is definitely helpful when referencing our drawings and our schematics. Now let's take a look at the 3D updates for our electrical project. Here we can see an arrangement of connectors for electrical harnesses. The first update I want to show is routing active location only. In the electrical tab here, we can see the location L2 and the components that are included in this location. When we go ahead and automatically route that harness, we can select the option to only route the active location. So let me go ahead and go to my route harnesses. And from within this feature tree selection, I can choose to route active location only. When I do that, it's going to focus only on location L2 that I have active, and it's going to route that accordingly. Now we can see that this harness has been routed for us, and it has followed that path for our location L2, and we notice that this harness was untouched. This harness didn't change, it wasn't moved, it wasn't rebuilt, because we focused primarily on location L2. The next update in 3D is to filter components or manufacturer parts in the feature tree. So if I go to my electrical tab here, I have a new filter for manufacturer parts. So I can choose filtering by association, accessory, auxiliary, or even manufacturer parts that are excluded from the BOM. And when I use that, I can toggle this filter on and off, and it's going to apply those changes for me.
Some great time-saving new features in SOLIDWORKS Electrical 2D and 3D to help you work faster and become more productive while bridging that gap between the mechanical and electrical design teams. Now, the 3D Experience platform opens up a world of new technology to users, and to introduce us to a selection of next-generation design applications, we'll now hand over to Sarah to show us more.
Your SOLIDWORKS designs are always evolving, and when inspiration strikes, your ideas can't be limited by your CAD system. 3D Experience Works unleashes your creativity and brings your ideas to life with next-generation cloud-based tools for freeform subdivision surfacing, traditional parametric modeling, algorithmic design, and more. Everything you create seamlessly integrates with your SOLIDWORKS designs. Built-in collaboration tools make it easy to share ideas and feedback, document and mark up design issues, and stay organized with team assignments. Watch and see how you can expand your 3D modeling toolbox to enhance your SOLIDWORKS experience and unlock endless design possibilities. Subdivision modeling begins with a primitive shape. Start by adjusting the size and mesh parameters. Use the manipulator to push and pull the surface like digital clay. No need to spend hours creating sketches and surfacing features. Snap entities to a line and then click and drag to adjust the endpoints. When you need more detail in your surface, subdivide or extrude faces, or insert entirely new edge loops. add creased edges to your surface for style or function, and adjust their smoothness and severity. When you're modeling from 2D sketches, you can jump from one profile to another to make adjustments. Align your surface to a curve by drawing on screen with your cursor. Copy and paste previous surfaces to explore new concepts. Scale them if you need to, and then continue sculpting. Use the Reflect tool to create a mirrored copy of your subdivision surface. Jump into a section view while modeling, and don't forget to check for manufacturability with draft analysis. When checking the quality of your surface, use Mesh Inspection to identify intersecting elements. The cage view shows the mesh from which the curved surface is generated. When you need to focus on a portion of the surface, isolate it with the working zone, so the rest of the model is left untouched. As your surfaces become more complex, use soft selection to affect more vertices at once. Adjust the radius of influence to sculpt only the areas you need. Flatten areas of the surface to be used as sketch planes. Take advantage of parametric features from XDesign, or bring your subdivision surface into SOLIDWORKS to add similar details. If you decide to stay on the cloud, monitor your performance from the system status. Switch from a fillet to a chamfer on the fly. Skip the sketch and start from extruding faces. With super features, you can toggle between extrude, revolve, and sweep. You can even stop and make a new sketch while in the middle of a command. Leverage both cosmetic and physical thread options for holes and studs. While thickening faces, any problematic areas are highlighted so you can adjust your surface or thickness accordingly. The single modeling environment allows you to create new components from features or bodies and makes rearranging your components and subassemblies simpler than ever. When your model calls for it, seamlessly switch to other cloud apps for different types of design. X-Generative Design takes an algorithmic approach to modeling, combining interactive 3D geometry and visual scripting. Use operator boxes to quickly generate complex patterns and see your model evolve. If changes are ever needed to the original geometry, patterns update automatically. Use the built-in lifecycle tools to explore and organize the revisions and branches of your design. Prepare prototypes with integrated additive manufacturing tools. Connect to a cloud machine or input custom metrics to match your machine's build volume and technology. Visualize the support required according to overhang thresholds specific to your 3D printer, and anticipate level of detail with a custom layer height preview. Export in the latest additive manufacturing formats to go from digital model to physical product. Subdivision modeling is great for this type of ergonomic design, but you can also use it to add style to structural components. Use the Flex command to taper your surface along a direction. Align your surface to a sketch or curve in the model. Go from box selection to lasso and align vertices to one another. Use Boolean commands like combine or subtract for multi-body workflows. Add holes to your model from a vast library of standard sizes. Your favorite parametric surfacing tools are available when you need them, but you could also use sketches to define a subdivision surface, then sculpt it into your desired shape. Take advantage of other applications like lattice design to create lightweight components while retaining structural integrity. The Lattice Design Assistant walks you through the process step by step. First, specify the area for lattice generation. Then select the type of lattice you want to apply. Create your own cell structure or choose from a pre-loaded menu. Adjust the size, shape, and orientation of your lattice and generate a wireframe preview. You end up with a custom polyhedral merged with your original geometry. And once again, the built-in lifecycle tools help you stay organized as you experiment with different lattice designs. When it's time to update your assembly, replace any component with a new part or revision. search for other components, and drag and drop them into your assembly. Start selecting faces to add mates between components. Mirror components across a plane to create a symmetrical copy. Drag and drop fasteners to add mates on the fly. Artificial intelligence predicts the placement of similar components and mates them in place. You can see when your teammates have locked a component in your assembly and request their release without leaving your modeling session. Use your mated assembly to visualize real-world motion in your designs. Anything you create with these cloud design tools seamlessly integrate with your SOLIDWORKS models. Attach your model as a deliverable so your team doesn't have to go searching. And let your manager know that your work is ready for review by setting it to in approval. With 3D Experience Works, you can complement your SOLIDWORKS design process with next-generation cloud-based tools for all types of 3D modeling. How will you unleash your creativity and bring your products to the next level?
That's some incredible technology we've seen so far, and it's all available right now. X-Shape makes light work of organic shapes with its subdivisional design tools so much faster than traditional design methods. I'm sure you all agree. Whether you're creating complex patterns on difficult geometry or looking to create ultra-lightweight structures while retaining structural integrity, the 3D Experience platform provides tools to make these design tasks simple. Now that we've seen next-generation design tools available on the 3D Experience platform, it's time for Tom to introduce us to the next generation of tools built for simulation.
Your SOLIDWORKS designs are always evolving, but how do you know if they're going to work? 3D Experience Works Simulation, powered by the industry-leading Abaqus solver, gives you the ability to virtually validate complex designs while minimizing the need for physical prototypes. Built-in collaboration tools make it easy to document and track issues in your design and manage and coordinate your tasks with your team. Let's see how you can use multi-physics simulation to analyze different areas of your design and ensure your customer gets the best product. Weight, material, and manufacturing considerations drive design changes all of the time, but you need to ensure that the structural performance of your design still meets your requirements. The Assistant panel makes it easy for you to set up simulations. You can select a material from the comprehensive library and apply boundary conditions and loads to replicate real-world scenarios. Once the results are generated, you can view a variety of different plots, such as factor of safety, to validate your changes. Designs often experience different types of load that require different types of simulation. For example, we can investigate the effects of dynamic loading, such as random vibrations, using a random vibration study. It's easy to define the bounding frequencies of the analysis and characterize the loading of the PSD curve. Stress and displacement results give you insight into how your assembly behaves during random excitation and gives you the confidence you need to move the best design forward. Sharing your designs and working with your team is easy with the built-in collaboration tools. Sometimes a linear static simulation is just not enough. Cyclic loading can create fatigue-related failures that are hard to predict. Now, with 3D Experience Works Simulation, you can easily and more accurately validate the lifespan of your parts and assemblies. The built-in material library allows you to select materials with comprehensive fatigue data, or you can create your own. You can define boundary conditions and apply loads, and the on-screen graphics let you know that the forces are going in the right direction. The results show when and where your parts will fail, even for low cycle fatigue. With tight integration between SOLIDWORKS and 3D Experience Works Simulation, you can easily make design changes and rerun the simulation without having to import and export different file types. You can compare results and see how informed design changes can maximize the lifespan of your parts. Understanding how plastic flows in mold cavities is critical to the quality of your injection molded parts. Historically, years of experience has been the only way to avoid costly defects and tooling rework. 3D Experience Works Simulation puts powerful plastics analysis tools into the hands of your engineers. You can apply materials from the built-in, comprehensive, and continuously updated plastics library and set injection molding parameters. The setup tools allow you to automatically find and establish gate locations, or you can specify your own. Right away, you can see some heavy sink marks, which are not desirable in high-quality parts. This insight helps to guide your design decisions to ensure optimal surface quality and maintain design tolerances. When the plastic cools, it shrinks and warps, and you need to know by how much. With sophisticated warpage calculation, you can now accurately adjust your design to maintain fit, form, and function. Validating your plastic components eliminates costly and time-consuming mold changes and gives you the confidence to enter high-volume production. When streamlining your design for better aerodynamics, you want to understand how air flows around it. Powerful fluid dynamics capabilities within 3D Experience Works Simulation allows you to easily define the boundaries of your study, set the wind speed, and use powerful hex-dominant meshing to accurately mesh complex assemblies. The high-power cloud computing allows you to easily scale your resources to tackle complex simulations. You can explore flow velocities, pressure fields, and streamlines to help you validate the fluid behavior in and around your design, so you can maximize the battery life and increase rider efficiency. More and more devices are connected through wireless technologies like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular networks. Connectivity performance is a crucial design aspect of electromagnetic devices. Powerful CST Studio Suite technology, available within 3D Experience Works Simulation, allows you to simulate placement of such devices when they come into contact with each other. By reviewing far fields and electric field plots of different positions and orientations, you can make informed decisions on how antenna placement and materials can affect connectivity. This enables you to visualize performance and optimize signal integrity. With 3D Experience Works Simulation, you have the power to solve complex design challenges. Fueled by the industry-leading Abaqus solver, you have access to powerful multiphysics simulation capabilities that allow you to virtually validate your designs and confidently move forward with your best ideas.
Impressive stuff. With these powerful new tools, we can learn even more about our designs to help us develop, validate, and ultimately improve our products. When the design work is done, it's time to make those ideas real. The 3D Experience platform provides a host of applications for manufacturing, and to introduce you to these incredible new tools, let's hand over to Sawyer.
Implementing open and real-time lines of communication between our engineering and shop floor is critical to getting parts produced and out the door on time. Communication across a company is important. No one's going to deny that. But ensuring that everyone within the company has access to a single source of truth and is making decisions based on the same set of data is imperative. Otherwise, we may just be guessing at the latest revision of a file and producing nothing but scrap. With the Delmia manufacturing portfolio inside of 3D Experience Works, data is collected throughout the entire process, from starting with analyzing the part to shipping it out the door. All stakeholders have real-time visibility to make fast and accurate decisions. On the quoting and planning side, you have access to Delmia's manufacturability check. Here, you can virtually place a part onto your machine and check for things like standard hole sizes and deep or flat-bottomed holes. You can set manufacturing parameters for your machines to help analyze your manufacturing processes, both on the additive and subtractive sides. If you find any issues, you can use the markup features to send the details directly to the engineer using the integrated communication tool. Easily add text and graphics, then take a snapshot of the 3D model and send it out for review. With the changes made and the part finalized, there's no need to reopen and reinsert the part again. You can simply replace the existing part with the new revision. After running it through the manufacturability check one more time just to be safe, we can send it off for manufacturing. When it's time to start programming the part, just open the machining cell that we have created in Delmia's shop floor machining. These machining cells can be saved as a template to include any tooling and fixtures thus eliminating the time-consuming task of loading tools and placing vices. Delmia's shop floor machining takes a lot of the guesswork out of your programming by including easy-to-follow pop-ups. Your toolpaths are displayed using kinematics of your actual machine. Delmia creates a virtual twin that accurately shows what will happen on your shop floor without the risk of crashing your machine in real life. Industrial robotics are becoming a standard these days in almost every manufacturing facility. Although the use of industrial robots has become more common, programming them can still prove challenging. Delmia's Robot Programmer Essentials gives you the power to easily program and simulate robotic arms. The programming is done completely offline, so your equipment can stay up and running while you program and simulate new tasks. Delmia's Robot Programmer lets users easily place robotic arms and shows possible locations based on the robot's reachability. A true virtual twin can be created by combining our manufacturing cells on the factory floor. With Delmia Factory Simulation Engineer, users can simulate and optimize material flow and resources using a virtual twin of their facility. Users are able to optimize layouts, plan for expansion, and create flow studies to track efficiencies, all while using an accurate, scalable representation of their production environment. Whether you're programming CNC machines and robots or creating optimum production floor layouts, the 3D Experience Works manufacturing solutions are ready to help you expand your horizons.
Well, there you have it. Some incredible enhancements to SOLIDWORKS this year, and also some next-generation applications provided to us through the 3D Experience platform. We hope you've enjoyed the show and that you will be as excited as we are to put these new tools into action. If you want to find out more about the tools you've seen today, or better understand the tools you already have, don't hesitate to get in touch with your local technical team for more information. A big thank you to all of our What's New presenters today, and also to the whole team responsible for bringing this event together over 2 continents, including our main sponsors, Dell and NVIDIA. It's quite a task putting together the amount of content required for an event like this, but I hope you'll agree that the quality from all of our presenters have been outstanding. We all look forward to welcoming you again next year, but for now, it's goodbye from me and everyone here at the TriMet Group. Thanks for watching.